Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. This morning I'm looking at a book from Jordan Publishing Limited. It's an important book and it's got a long title. It's this book here. It's called A Modern Approach to Lifetime Tax Planning for Private Clients with Precedents. And it's an important book. It's got a CD-ROM at the back, as you can see. You can see the basic blurb there, and you can see the basic front bit. It's very much a standard publication for Jordans, with good useful paragraph numbering so you can navigate well on the sides. It's got useful footnoting as well, which is what we would expect looking at these publications. Useful examples too of the various areas when you're looking at planning. There's a good index at the back, quite detailed, as you can see there. And then at the front you've got the standard section on contents, cases of course mentioned. There are a lot of contents sections. There's a big book, this one. A lot of table of cases. And then you go into the basis of the subject matter itself, the narrative. It doesn't actually have an index with the chapters, but that doesn't matter too much. I don't think it's absolutely fundamental. But what is useful is that when you have the various examples, you then have a precedent which is included as well, and obviously that is part and parcel of the CD-ROM itself. These books are very important in my view, especially in this particular area of law. There's an important preface as well to have a look at there, and the book itself is something approaching 600 odd pages. It's a heavy hardback book, and one that I'm very pleased to review. It's been written by two people, Christopher Whitehouse and Professor Leslie King. Now, what we've said about this, and we produced the review which is on the web and in the journals, is we've said planning and drafting help. Well, for private clients, tax planning, this is the book for you. It's a practitioner's guide with a CD-ROM. And the content that we have for the review is as follows. We're saying that the title of this new work on tax planning for private clients is certainly indicative of its general thrust and certainly its response to the current climate of opinion pertaining to tax avoidance as opposed to tax evasion. Very emotive area, and one that we've got to be well aware of course. The distinction between the two, say the two expert authors, was once clear in that avoidance was legal and evasion was illegal. And we will all be well aware of the press publicity in recent years concerning the whole issue of avoiding tax and evading tax. They do tend to have been blurred a bit, but the basic argument is you should pay the tax that's due. And obviously there are ways around certain aspects, which is called prudent financial management, so it's a slightly different approach. However, the two authors, that's Whitehouse and King, have come up with, I think, a very useful advisor's guide here. And in recent years, the words of the authors, a brave new world has come into existence, with senior judges not immune from the pressure to condemn what in the past would have been considered innocuous tax planning. As I say, it's an emotive issue because there are people who take a very strong line that you must pay your tax, and there are some people who think we should pay more tax, funny enough. I'm amazed when I've been canvassing. I find some people say, no, we think we should pay a bit more. Well, I think the view is welcome to it, but we would always try to limit the tax obligation where we are legally entitled to do so. And that's the role of both accountants and barristers and solicitors. Our job is to be sensible about what is owed. So yes, there's something owed, but you want to be prudent and careful with it. So what we're then saying is that the work itself refers to tax avoidance measures in that particular quote, which, while perfectly lawful, now tend to be condemned as antisocial, and that's a perceived wisdom in 2014, certainly. And there's another quote here: artificial tax avoidance is a social evil, said Lord Walker, who went on to say, which puts an unfair burden on the shoulders of those who do not adopt such measures. In other words, if you are not paying your full whack, it means other people have got to pay more. It's a bit like the licence fee with the BBC. If people don't pay it, in sufficient numbers, they've got to increase the amount because of the revenue loss that they've sustained. So you see the balance that is needed. So for practitioners assisting their clients in this lately rather blurred tax planning landscape where old certainties are no longer certain, this book, we think, from Jordan's emerges as a welcome entrant into the copious body of literature available on tax and how we deal with it. As the authors explain, the book deals with middle-of-the-road, non-abusive planning arrangements, which it is difficult to characterise as antisocial. In other words, we're not even on the windy side of the law, as it were, here at all. What we're talking about is something that is perfectly acceptable and not perceived to be antisocial. So within about actually nearly 700 pages, the book is logically divided into 7 sections. The first relating to essential law on giving, including capacity, that's mine as an individual, so lack capacity, and the power of attorney and deputies, to name only but a few of the issues that are covered. Other specific topics examined in detail are too numerous for me to mention obviously in this review, but they do include a wide spectrum of issues from trusts and settlements to the family home itself, to capital gains tax, main residence relief, to chattels, businesses, farms, investments and insurance products. All rather specialised, but at least you get the general flavour when you look at the book. Usefully, section 2 covers essential tax law as the preliminary to detailed examination of a wide range of other pertinent issues, from trusts and settlements to matters concerning the family, to statutory exemptions and reliefs. The detailed and authoritative commentary which we've got from these two authors throughout is supported by worked examples and precedents, as I've shown you. And for the hard-pressed practitioner under pressure, there is an accompanying CD-ROM, which is at the back of the book, which allows users to adapt documents to their specific requirements. So for those seeking further information and guidance, there are also numerous references and detailed footnotes, plus the extensive table of cases, statutes and statutory instruments, as well of course as a table of abbreviations, which is always helpful in this area. Also, there's a detailed table of contents at the front, quite a large number of pages there actually, and an index which makes it easy to navigate as a work of reference. So what I would say in conclusion is that if you are a lawyer specialising in tax planning for private clients, the middle-of-the-road reasoned and contemporary sensibility, which is a characteristic of this book, is that it's the sort of thing that you would actually immediately want to go for, because it's thorough and it's erudite, and it should make a welcome addition to your local library if this is an area that you actually practice in. And the publication date is listed for the early part of 2014. I'm very pleased with this book. Jordan's have never failed to come up with anything which is of the highest standards. You can see again examples there of what's in it. As I said, it's a heavy book. There's some useful discussions on some of the cases as well, which we have to look at in this particular area of law. But I'd like to thank the two authors and Jordan's for an excellent contribution to this area of tax planning. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.